It is Friday, which means we have some banger content in MLB The Show 22. We've got to talk about the Goats and Ghouls program and event, and also the postseason content that we got today. First, I'm going to go through all the content, give initial thoughts, and then we're going to tier list them all on the tier list of each position, so you know which cards you should be using on your team right away. Also, I should mention, I am going to be streaming today in support of Gamers Outreach, their foundation that brings video games to hospitals. I'm going to leave the link to the donation page in the description in the comments as well. If you guys want to support it, it's a great cause, and I'm doing stuff today for it, so make sure you swing by the stream as well, because I'll be live grinding out all this content and getting my initial thoughts on the cards. This is my third attempt trying to record this because I'm rambling on about these cards a lot, so I want to go through this content really quickly. New postseason cards. They are all somewhat purposeful, but they might not start on most teams other than theme teams because that's just the state of the game right now. Like, Loizaga is a great reliever with his outlier sinker. Michael Brantley is an Astros theme team card, but isn't really great for right now. Brandon Drury has pinch hitter quirk, but again is not a top pinch hitter. Max Muncy is definitely a Dodgers theme team guy, but 82-90 contact. I don't see this card really being used on Hall of Fame difficulty at all. Josh Bell, switch hitter boy, always a fun player, but again is not bringing any really stacked attributes. Oswaldo, even though I like his speed and defense, he gets a little bit more value being a middle infielder. Isn't super crazy on the attributes as well. Bruce Gratterall, I think, is definitely one player everyone can use, though. Outlier sinker, he gets the cutter as well. So he's got the outlier sinker paired with the cutter, which a lot of outlier sinker pitchers don't have. So I would definitely give him a go if you need bullpen help. Joe Musgrove could also be potentially the best starter of the day. 112 hits per 9 is good. He's also got sinker cutter, which I think a lot of people really like in pitchers. I like Rizzo. Like, he is a good card. But again, he's not bringing that much stacked attributes where it's really a must-use, but I would love to give this card some reps on my all-time Yankees. Garrett Cole, I think, is a little better than previous Garrett Cole cards in last year's. He does have a cutter this year, which is some sort of benefit. And 106 hits per 9 is good, but nothing really too crazy for right now. We got to remember there are a lot of hitters with basically 125 everything on their hitting attributes, so 106 hits per 9 might not bring enough to really warrant using. Trent Grisham is a solid outfielder, but the splits versus lefties aren't great, and the splits versus right are definitely not too crazy, but still good. Josh Hader, outlier sinker, definitely a top reliever option, definitely a top lefty. A lot of people struggling to find those three lefties, so I would give this card a try in your bullpen. Eddie Rosario, if you didn't use him last year, is a stud. Max out contact, not too crazy on the quirks, but a nice high contact option for the corner outfield with solid fielding. And then Harrison Bader is definitely more valuable for the speed and defense. However, he's still a good hitter. He's like Trent Grisham, but with better speed and defense, but you're sacrificing a little bit of the contact and power versus left. I'm interested to see how this card will play. He's going to be a top center fielder, but obviously guys like Ken Griffey Jr. are going to be more appealing. Now we slide over to the Goats and Ghouls program. Joe Nathan is a nice reliever, sinker, cutter mix. He's not going to be the best reliever, going to be one of the better options for your bullpen. Curtis Granderson is the one card I look at today and really feel disappointed in. 96 103 contact is very weak for right now, especially for the pitching we're facing. I wouldn't really be looking to use this card too much. Greg Maddux, in my opinion, is my personal excited card for the day. 112 hits per 9 is great for Greg Maddux. 117 walks per 9, the parts are going to be small, and he throws slow, which may sound like a downside, which I guess is a legitimate thing, but his pars are going to be small, so he's going to really locate nearly everything. So if you like Dallas Keuchel, for example, you'll like Greg Maddux. Trevor Story is one of the best middle infield options in the game right now. 99 speed, and he's bringing similar hitting to like Bo Bichette, so I would really recommend this card for a middle infielder. Stan Musial is always an underrated option each year. Max out contact, really good in the power. He has the reverse splits. He's going to be a fun corner outfielder, first baseman for you. And then Miguel Cabrera is going to be definitely the best third base option in the game and one of the best first base options. 125 everything. One parallel gets him to gold fielding, which is nice. Oh, don't worry, I'm not done yet. We got to talk about the event very quickly. We got Mike Myers. Get it? Funny name. Probably not using this card in your bullpen now. Just being real with you. Jeimer Candelario is an underrated card that we had last year in the Finest program. This year, he's right around where Eduardo Escobar is right now, but he gets more quirks. So if you liked Escobar, you want an upgrade, the amount of quirks he brings is going to be a little bit better. So very underrated switch hitting corner infielder. And then Charlie Blackmon. Very comparable to what, say, Eddie Rosario is in the postseason program, but he's bringing better speed, which will end up meaning he's a better fielder. While Eddie Rosario has the fielding, you know, a difference in like 30 speed or whatever it is between the two, Blackmon's going to have way more range. You are sacrificing a little bit of power to make it work, but Blackmon's always got a fun swing. If you like George Brett, try this card, trust me. But let's go in and tier list our content now after just rambling on about those cards. So just to start off with the postseason content, since I did go through it very quickly, everyone in the S+ tier are the cards you probably want to shoot for first, or at least use on your team. All those cards can get some sort of good purpose on your team and are very viable cards to use on God Squads. S tier guys are more niche cards where if you're not making the best team on paper and want some more depth, they'll still be very viable though for right now. But in that A tier, as you work your way down, you start to see that, I don't know, it's like the cards may not be the most crazy useful. Everyone in the A tier and below could be used, especially on All-Star and Hall of Fame if you do like those players' swings and those teams. At this point in the game, it's really just about having fun and using really whoever. So don't really worry too much about these rankings because they're more so meant to be initial rankings so you know who actually has a purpose on your team or not. Starting off with catcher. We've got no change here this week since we've got no new catchers, but I still think, especially with our other players like Miguel Cabrera dropping, this is that time where Jimmy Fox is very valuable at catcher because if you were playing at first or third, now you've got more options to play over there, so you can slide Jimmy at catcher. Now you're gonna get more value in having those maxed out hitting attributes there. We got a bunch of first basemen today, but not all of them are really that great. I mean, we have some of the cards in the B tier that really aren't too great. As you work to our A, S, and S+ tier though, we do have a bunch of guys like Candelario and Josh Bell who are good switch hitters, and Rizzo's a solid first baseman. But again, these guys aren't too crazy on the attributes. I wouldn't really be too excited about using their cards other than theme teams. Like, I'm gonna use Rizzo on my all-time Yankees, but he really isn't a must-start on my God Squad. But, you know who is a must-start? Miguel Cabrera and Stan Musial. If you get those guys, there's definitely a purpose on your team for them in some avenue. I would really recommend giving them a go, especially Miguel Cabrera. Flipping over to the other side of the corner infield, I think this is Miguel Cabrera's most valuable position because, again, one parallel gets in the gold fielding, and third base will allow that gold fielding to actually be valuable. So I think he'd be the go-to third baseman to use with the level of fielding that he's going to bring with the maxed out attributes. Then you can play Babe Ruth at first base, Jimmy Fox at catcher, maybe Sheffield in the outfield. You have options to make your team work. So I think third is going to be the best spot for him. But as you see, Trevor Story, if you want to go for the speedy option there, is going to be good at third base as well. There were no new primary second baseman this week, but it was worth noting. Trevor Story is going to be a top option in second. If you do have Jimmy Rollins like me and you're wondering where you could get Trevor Story in, second base seems like the perfect spot. Bo Bichette's lightning card didn't really get much versatility with no secondary positions, but Story's going to have at least gold fielding at second, short, and third, which means he's going to be very valuable, especially at second, because it's a very weak position, and the hitting he's bringing is going to be overall better than a lot of the other options that we have. I am on the fence of moving Soriano up because I really do like him, but I'll keep him in the S tier for now, but Story is definitely up there with the guys in that S+ tier. Slide over to shortstop now, and again, we didn't really get too much change here other than Trevor Story. I think he's going to be the number 2 shortstop in the game right now. He's got nearly Corey Seager level hitting, but bringing better defense because he's going to have better speed, and also the ability to steal, which I think is valuable in the middle infield. So he's my number 2 middle infield option, but again, all those guys in the S+ here are going to be very good uses at shortstop right now. The outfield is chaos. You guys know how it goes. In terms of the outfield, I do value that speed and defense, especially as a center field option. So you'll see as you work our way up in the tier list, I'm going to have a little bit more preference to the guys with good hitting, like Bader and Grisham and such, but are also bringing better speed. Harrison Bader doesn't have like nearly maxed out attributes like the guys like Babe Ruth and Vlad and so on, but he's going to be arguably the best defensive center field option, along with Ken Griffey Jr. However, he's definitely not Griffey level because Griffey's a better overall hitter, but I think Bader's bringing that level of defense along with the solid power, and he's going to be a very viable center fielder. But again, at this point in the game, there's so many outfielders, man. I can't really emphasize this enough. Having just enough attributes at this point in the game is really all that you need. It just comes down to, at that point, the swing preference, how you do with a certain player's swing, and just how you like players. So don't really stress out too much about the rankings. These are mainly just judged off the attributes and how I think I rank the cards, but it really does not matter that much, especially with hitters. Starting pitching saw some change this week. I did do some testing of players. I've got to get Roy Halladay still, but I think Roy Halladay on Hall of Fame, since I'm ranking these cards for that, is likely going to be the guy to use. Corey Kluber, I tested him. I think he's incredible. I think he's better than Randy Johnson in my opinion. I think Greg Maddux also has the potential to be better than Randy Johnson. If you like the control type pitcher, Greg Maddux is probably going to be the best at locating those pitches. However, you are sacrificing velocity and stuff, but for me, he's an S+ guy. But Randy Johnson is still a top starter. You can definitely use him in your rotation, but I see a lot of comments with people questioning it. I truly think that Randy Johnson is going to start to be easier to hit over time, bit by bit, because hits per 9 isn't super crazy in comparison to a lot of these guys who are actually bringing the end game level attributes. And then finally in the bullpen, the main change is that there's Josh Hader, who is adding another big lefty. Hader, Chapman, Wagner, Alvarado are probably your biggest lefties for right now. Zach Britton is also still very viable for that lefty help. You do need more lefties. I bet we do get some more. But definitely look to try Josh Hader if you need that third or fourth lefty in your bullpen. But past that, really, I mean, you've got options. Like Joe Nathan's a great righty along with George Kirby, Bruzdar as well. You got plenty of options. I'm going to use Loizaga because I'm a Yankee fan bias, but really comes down to just, again, who do you just have the most fun with? And finally, if you want to see my current God Squad, this is what I am rocking. I do like Griffey a ton. He's been honestly one of my favorite cards in the game right now. Vlad Sr. I loved for my short use of him, so I want to use him in right. And I have Aaron Judge, who I know you may think you don't love this card, fine, whatever. He's been incredible for me. So I plan on keep on using him for basically the rest of the year. For me, I'm probably going to take Hank Aaron out of the lineup. Not that he's not good enough for this point in the game, but I just want to mix up the team and use someone else. I have been using him for a bit. I might try Trevor Story at shortstop. I might take someone out like Trey Turner at second base. I'm going to shuffle my team a bit here, but as you see, at this point in the game, you have so many endless options. I wouldn't really overanalyze your team. A lot of content is going to be good to use, so don't really stress out about your God Squad too much. Just use the team that you have the most fun with, but use my tier list just as a general guideline so you know which players are the ones you should probably be targeting. You know, there are some 99s that are a little deceiving, like Eric Davis. You may think, oh, is this as good as other 99s? Clearly he isn't. So I want to emphasize that these tier lists aren't meant to be a full-blown crutch. I really just recommend using who you have the most fun with. At this point in the game, it's not worth getting hyper analytical because you could honestly get away with players like Corbin Carroll still, or Lorenzo Cain. You could get away with so many players still. So I wouldn't really worry too much about this type of stuff. Just have fun with the game right now. But I appreciate you all watching this tier list. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. And make sure, again, like I mentioned, you swing by my stream tonight. I'll be live right around 6 p.m. EST. I'm going to be playing this game along with some Modern Warfare 2, raising money for a good cause. I really recommend you go swing by. But you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all again next video later this week. Deuces.